build. And I've been asked a couple of times what I'm running in the raid and how it works and things of that nature. So I figured I'd just make a video and show you what I'm currently running. So let's start with the AR build. Basically, I either run this out of Gunner or Demolitionist. Mostly I use Demolitionist because of the grenade launcher, so I can just take out the AI pretty quickly when we start getting overrun. So most of the time it's in Demolitionist, but when I'm running the AR build, I run it with an LMG with double duty on it, or whatever your main weapon's going to be, or your offhand, double duty on it, just for the extra free ammo that it gives to you when you reload. And then I'm running, obviously running Eagle Bearer. On my pistol, I'm running a pistol with In Rhythm on it, and the reason I do that is because when I go down and my revive hive comes up, gets me up, and there's sometimes where I kill 2-3 things, and my In Rhythm pops, and then my revive hive is back. So it's very beneficial to run In Rhythm just for the skill reset. On my mask, I'm running the a Badger Tough for the damage to elites. And then I have a roll the damage to elites on it for the 44% damage to elites. So the only reason I'm using this mask is for the damage to elites aspect, because I got that 44 on, I think, on a piece of Patriot. For the chest piece, I'm running the Fenris chest piece for the AR damage. I have 2 pieces on, so I have the protection from elites as well. That's up, and I rolled an 11% weapon damage on there. Now, weapon damage is king in this game so far. The higher your base damage, the more damage is going to be congruent with the rest of what you're doing. Damage to elites or AR damage or what have you. I have an unstoppable force and hard hitting on it. The reason I use unstoppable force and not berserk is during the raid, you have to acquire targets rather quickly. And to make use of the double duty, what I do is I focus on one target, get the armor off, and then if there's other targets in front of me, whichever one's going to die first is the one that I shoot. Even if somebody else is shooting at it, it's a group effort, so they don't get butthurt that you're killing their target, because it doesn't really matter, because there's 100 targets you're shooting at. So I'm looking for the target that has the least amount of health so that I can kill it and pop this unstoppable force. With this unstoppable force going, and then the talent on Eagle Bear for the tenacity, you start doing a bunch of damage. Okay, so that ups the damage. I mean, with my Eagle Bear, I'm shooting and getting headshots 110, 120 grand in that area. On the holster, I'm running the Gilgard holster here, 5% total armor, and then I rolled 37,000 health on it. The reason I use this holster is because it has 2 offensive mod slots that I can drop 8% damage, 8% damage AR damage, and then 4% weapon damage, bringing that up to 12% AR damage, because it does stack. On my backpack, 511 for the protection to elites, and the weapon damage that I have modified. I'm looking for a higher weapon damage on that. 9's kind of low. Looking for a little bit higher. So the destructive 20% explosive damage is beneficial with the grenade launcher in Demolitionist. I can one-shot pretty much anything with my grenade launcher. So in the raid at Razorback, yellows, yes, they do take 2 shots, however, but I can hit a group of 3 with 2 shots, and they're all die. Hard hitting as well on this backpack, just because for the damage to elites aspect of it. It's got a offensive mod slot on it, but again, I have the 4% assault rifle damage. For gloves, we're Murakami for the health, and for the rolled assault rifle damage on it, and then the devastating for another 5%. Weapon damage. Like I said, weapon damage is king. The higher your base is, the more damage you're going to do. For the knee pads, got some Fenris here for the second part of my Fenris with 10% protection from elites. Rolled some more armor on it. I'm looking for more armor. We have hard hitting and patience. Patience is beneficial because you can take cover really quickly and it'll start regenerating health, and it regenerates a bunch of armor. So if you can get this combination, this is what you're gonna need. Higher armor though, I'm looking for higher armor. So in the skill slots, the Revive Hive, of course, and then the Chem Launcher with the heal. There's been plenty of times where you're going down and you got to hit that Chem Launcher. So that's the AR build part of it. When I run and we hit, for that build we go from Boomer, Buddy and Lucy, or Boomer, then to the trio, and then Buddy and Lucy. That's what I use. When we hit Razorback though, I switch to this build, okay? Because I'm primarily using the LMG because I need the higher capacity to take out the yellows, to take out the drone. I sit on Overwatch. There's a lot of things that I'm shooting at, mostly crowd control. I use the Nemesis in the off slot for the 25% headshot damage on the scope. So now the scope on the LMG that I'm using is going to be the C79 because that activates the 25% damage from the Nemesis. You don't have to hit R3 to zoom in. All you need is the L2, and it's going to activate. Okay, but the rest of it is the same except for the mods, because I changed the mods for LMG damage in this part of the build. So let's look at the holster. Again, LMG damage, and then this is a utility, so I have some, I have a bullshit 125 in there, but that I can bring up. But the benefit of this, using this exotic holster with this build, is the quick draw, because my reload goes from 5.8 seconds to a little bit under a second. So it's pretty beneficial when you're up in the Overwatch position at Razorback to take out the drones, to just, you're continuously firing. Continuously. When your pouch is out, double tap triangle, get to your sidearm, tap triangle, back to your main weapon. You got another 100 or so bullets, 150 bullets. Okay, so that's why I use this holster, is because of the quick reload. But everything else is the same, minus the mods. So let's take a look at the stats real quick. Zip through this because we don't really need it. So right here, 36,127 weapon damage. I don't really think a critical hit chance is more beneficial than weapon damage on rolling onto the pieces of gear. 65% headshot damage, and then that's without the perk for Nemesis. Okay. Let's look at here. So the weapon handling, that's because I have unhinged on it, which really doesn't matter because you're just putting the stability mods on. You can put stability all the weapon. It's really not that much of a difference. All weapon damage 43%, and then we go down to the LMG, which is 40%. So you're basically adding these together. So it's 83% weapon damage on top of the 96% damage to elites. I do a lot of damage to elites. I'm about 150 to 180,000 on headshots with this weapon. On the shooting range, I can get it close to 2 million DPS, but I haven't gone over that yet. So these are my defensive stats. I just regular 243,000 armor and 83,000 health. So it's it's not overwhelming. It's about right where you're not really going crazy looking for gear. I am still looking for that unicorn of gear, but that's a long fight to come. So that's my build. That's what we use. Like I said, I use the AR build for the first 3 bosses of the raid, and then I use that LMG with the exotic holster for the last boss, just for the reload factor, and it works really well. I have a great team that I run with. So here's the stats on the AR. Hang on, let me switch. Here's the stats on the AR. So my Eagle Bear is running at 28.1, and then running at 29.5 all weapon, and then 47% AR damage with the 81% damage to elites. Okay, so those numbers, I literally melt through yellows and anything. It's just, and then when the tenacity and the unstoppable force pop in, forget about it. It's going down, whatever it is. So the health's a little bit higher on this just because of the switch in the holster. That's the only difference. So hope you enjoyed it. That's what I run. Any questions, leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. Have a good night and be safe out there.